million.
So we are not going to see the unemployment bill get a vote until you have heard from the governor on $300 million from the reappropriation.
Right. As Senator Nieves said, we're very disappointed that the governor will not lead along with us to send this message from Missouri to the federal government that they've got to stop. They've got to stop spending money they don't have.
Senator,
I would even mention, as a follow-up to that question, let's be very clear about what we're talking about here so that there's no misconceptions. We are literally talking about a $570 million stimulus package that we are asking the governor to reduce by $300 million, okay? So what needs to happen here is the governor needs to decide whether or not these ridiculous pet projects are more important than these Missouri families. That's literally what it boils down to. We have made our offer to the governor. We have continuously reached out, extended the olive branch, and thus far, the governor has not even had the common decency to meet with us. I think the governor is sending a very clear message here that these pet projects and pork barrel spending are more important than the hurting families in Missouri. Governor, step up and show us what your priorities are. Are your priorities this, or are your priorities this?
How long has the deal been on the table to the governor? How long have you been offering this?
I think it started. On Monday. You know, the governor made his announcement that this was a priority of his on Friday. We came back to work on Monday, got right down to work, started going through House Bill 18, and attempted to begin our negotiations with the governor on Monday. Today's Wednesday. It's 1:30. My phone has not rung, nor have I had a chance to talk to the governor.
What about his staff? Is his staff working with you?
The question was, is his staff working with us? I guess that would be a matter of opinion, because his staff, it's an interesting story. His staff, his chief of staff, met with us on Monday, and quite frankly, acted like a kindergartner. We sat down at the table, we told him a little bit about what we expected, and literally, the governor's chief of staff jumped up, threw his papers down, treated us in the most condescending manner that I've ever been treated as a state senator, stormed out of the room, and said that will never happen. Now, I don't know, but it seems to me that this is an issue that the governor should be negotiating directly face-to-face, not his staff. Since then, we've seen a couple of offers from his staff that are so ridiculous that I don't even understand what the offers have been.
Now, Senators, you don't really need the governor to agree on this. You can just block this yourselves. I mean, he could put a bill out there, and you guys, most of you sit on the Appropriations Committee, you could just block that bill. So
yeah, that's a great point. He's talking about the ability that the legislature might have to try to block a particular bill. That is true, but what that leaves in the governor's toolbox that we are not comfortable with is the idea of perhaps figuring out some creative way to manipulate a veto or call a special session back on these things, and we're just not willing to leave those tools on the table. We want a black and white agreement from the governor. We don't want any wiggle room. We want the governor to make a good faith, real agreement with us that says he will reduce $300 million of the most egregious, ridiculous pork barrel pet project spending that I've ever seen in my life in exchange for helping these hurting families in the state of Missouri.
Why not trade $100 million for the $100 million for the unemployment?
Well, quite frankly, you know, again, as I mentioned earlier, my goal is to send as much federal stimulus money back to the federal government as possible. I already can send $100 million back. All right. If this is a top priority for the governor, and he wants to work with the legislature, then in order to get that $100 million in extended benefits, then it's going to cost $300 million in federal stimulus money.
And are you tied to that list, or are those just examples of what we can negotiate?
As we mentioned, they're examples. They're examples. If the governor wants to look at House Bill 18, and it's got $570 million worth of stimulus spending in there, I mean, he can choose his own list.
Is this just about the unemployment extension stimulus money, or are we also involved with the education?
This is just about the unemployment benefits.
So where are we with education then?
We're not talking about that yet. That's not the subject at hand. We are handling these things one demon at a time, and the demon that's on the table right now is $100 million that needs to go to Missouri families that the governor seemingly would prefer to keep $300 million of pork projects and crazy, ridiculous spending.
These are reappropriations. As you were told just a few minutes ago in the